Take a slow, gentle breath and feel yourself arriving here, not in your thoughts or worries, but in the quiet space beneath everything that moves inside you. If you listen closely, you may sense a softness behind the noise of the mind, a stillness that doesn't depend on effort. Many traditions call this your Buddha nature, your true awareness, the sun that keeps shining behind every passing cloud. You have touched this light before. Maybe during meditation, maybe in a moment of pain, or simply in the pause between two thoughts. For a brief instant, everything felt open and unmistakably awake. But it didn't last. You saw it, then you lost it. You found it again, then slipped back into old patterns. Awareness appeared like a door opening, and just as quickly, it closed. It's easy to believe awareness is fragile, or that something is wrong with you, but the truth is far kinder. Awareness has never left you. It only seems to vanish because you don't yet understand how the mind quietly covers it. The same way a cloud can hide the sun without ever touching its light. So today, we're going straight to the real reason why awareness feels like it slips away. You've meditated. You've practiced noticing your thoughts. You've done your best to stay present, and still, awareness comes like a flash and disappears before you can hold it. A moment of clarity opens, but within seconds, thought rushes back in. It feels as if the mind is faster, louder, and far more powerful than anything awareness can offer. And no matter how sincere you are, awakening still feels just out of reach. You know you're supposed to just see the thought, but the thought pulls you in too quickly. One story becomes another, and suddenly you're inside a whole inner world you never intended to enter. You come back to awareness, only to lose it again. And even though you've touched deep stillness before, it slips through your fingers as if it was never really yours. This creates a quiet pain that most people never speak about. Eventually, a private frustration begins to form. You start wondering, how can others stay aware longer? Why can't I? A subtle shame appears. The feeling that you're missing something essential, that maybe you're not made for awakening. But this pain is not a sign of failure. It is simply the mind doing what it has always done, faster than you've learned to see it. And this is exactly where your understanding is about to deepen. So before you judge yourself, pause for a moment. The problem is not your awareness. The problem is not your sincerity. The issue lies in a simple fact few people ever learn. The mind has its own mechanics, its own momentum, its own survival logic. And unless you understand how it works, awareness will always feel temporary. So now, let's look directly at the deeper truth you were never taught. The first truth to understand is this: your mind is not fighting you. It isn't trying to block awakening or prevent awareness from lasting. It is simply doing the job it was designed to do: protect you, predict danger, and keep you alive. From the mind's perspective, habit and repetition feel safer than openness and stillness. So when awareness appears, the mind doesn't see truth. It sees unfamiliar territory and instinctively pulls you back. For 20, 30, even 40 years, your mind has practiced one thing: reacting quickly. This conditioning creates momentum, a force that moves faster than awareness until you learn how to recognize it. Thoughts don't arise as isolated events. They come as chains, as reflexes trained over a lifetime. So when awareness flashes open, it's not that you lose it. It's that the old patterns simply move first. This is why thinking is not your mistake. Thought is a survival program, a mechanism designed to anticipate, to solve, to protect. It activates automatically, long before awareness has time to stabilize. So when the mind pulls you away, it isn't a spiritual failure. It's just biology, psychology, and learned behavior working together the way they always have. Understanding this melts the shame you've carried for years. Here is the piece most people never realize. Awareness doesn't disappear. It doesn't fade or weaken. It is always present, quietly shining in the background. What actually happens is that the mind's automatic reactions momentarily cover it, like waves momentarily hiding the ocean floor. But the floor never moves. The awareness beneath your thoughts remains untouched, waiting for the moment you notice again. So the real question isn't, why can't I stay aware? The real question is, what forces inside the mind pull attention away so quickly? To answer this, we need to look directly at the hidden mechanics of the mind. The momentum, the emotional charges, the identity patterns, and the subtle shifts that make awareness feel temporary. Once you understand these forces, the whole path becomes clearer. Thoughts rarely appear alone. When one thought rises, it automatically pulls several others with it, like a train dragging all its connected cars. This momentum is not personal. It's simply the physics of the mind. You may clearly notice the first thought, but the next 5 arrive so quickly that attention gets swept away. It's not that awareness is weak. It's that momentum is fast, and it has been practicing for decades. Momentum always moves first. It reacts before awareness has time to expand. This is why you can see a thought clearly and still feel yourself pulled in the next second. The mind isn't attacking you. It's following old pathways with incredible speed. And the more intense the pattern, the faster the momentum. Once you understand this, you stop blaming yourself for being pulled away. You see that you are simply caught in a well-trained movement of the mind. Some thoughts carry emotional residue. Old memories, unprocessed pain, unmet needs. When these are activated, their energetic charge rises instantly, covering awareness like a sudden storm. This is why clarity collapses fastest during conflict, fear, or heartbreak. The emotion is not wrong. It is simply louder than the quietness of awareness. And until the charge softens, the mind will contract around it as a way of protecting you from feeling too much at once. In moments of strong emotion, your system prioritizes survival, not awakening. It pulls attention into the body, into the tension, into the story that seems to explain the feeling. Awareness doesn't disappear. It just becomes harder to recognize through the intensity of the charge. When the emotion settles, awareness reappears naturally, like the sky returning after thunder. Nothing was lost, only covered for a moment. The ego exists only when there is a story. When awareness opens, that story becomes less solid, and ego fears dissolving. So it instinctively pulls you back into narrative, memory, or future projection. Not because it is bad, but because identity feels safer than spaciousness. This pull is subtle but powerful. It contracts attention, tightens the inner space, and recreates the sense of me that awareness had started to soften. When awareness becomes bright, the usual sense of self loses its center. For the ego, this feels like uncertainty, a groundlessness it cannot understand. So it reacts by strengthening old roles, old thoughts, old emotional patterns. This is not resistance. It's self-preservation. The ego is simply trying to remain someone. Awareness threatens that structure, so the mind contracts to rebuild the familiar identity it believes it must maintain. Awareness is expansive, soft, spacious, wave-like. Thought is contracted, narrow, dense, particle-like. Your attention silently shifts between these two states all day. When attention is open, you experience presence. When it collapses into a particle, thought becomes the center. This shift is subtle but instant. It makes awareness feel like it disappears, even though it remains fully present behind the contraction. The moment a thought feels urgent, attention collapses from wave into particle. Your inner space tightens, breath shortens, clarity narrows. Awareness didn't go anywhere. Only your focus changed shape. When the thought dissolves, attention naturally expands again, returning to the wave-like openness that was there all along. Understanding this softens the struggle. You realize awakening is not about holding awareness, but noticing these subtle shifts. So when awareness comes and goes, it is not instability. It is simply these inner mechanics unfolding: momentum, emotional charge, identity, and the wave particle shift of attention. Once you see this clearly, the path becomes gentler. You stop fighting the mind and begin understanding its movements. And now that we've seen how awareness becomes covered, we can explore something deeper: how awareness actually appears. Awareness does not appear because you try to be aware. It appears in the moment you stop interfering with your experience. When a thought rises and you simply notice it without effort, without fixing, without trying to change anything, awareness is already there. It doesn't need your help. It only needs space. The more gently you allow the moment to be as it is, the more awareness reveals itself on its own. When a thought appears and you recognize, oh, this is just a thought, something profound has already happened. You are no longer inside the thought. The one who sees is awareness itself. Awareness is not the silence after the thought dissolves. Awareness is the seeing that the thought arose. Even if the thought doesn't fade immediately, the moment of recognizing it is already present. Awareness has already appeared. Sometimes a thought dissolves right after you notice it. This is not because you did something special. It's because the momentum behind that thought has weakened over time. This is a sign of maturity, not a technique. It shows that the automatic patterns of the mind are losing their force. The thought falls apart because it no longer has enough energy to carry you away. Awareness remains steady, and the momentum simply couldn't continue. Other times, a thought stays for minutes or even hours, but awareness is not gone. The very fact that you know the mind is active proves that awareness is present. The goal is not to make thoughts disappear. The goal is to see them clearly, even when they stay. A stable awareness is not measured by how fast a thought dissolves, but by the clarity that sees it without being consumed. Awakening becomes simple when you understand this one truth. The dissolving of the thought is not the point. The seeing of the thought is the point. The mind may contract. The story may continue. But awareness is the space in which it all unfolds. Once you realize this, you stop chasing silence and start trusting awareness itself. Awareness is not an achievement. It is your natural state meeting each moment as it is. Now that you understand how awareness actually appears, the next step is learning how to let it deepen gently, without force, without control, without trying to stay aware. Awareness stabilizes not through effort, but through soft, repeated recognition. In the next section, we'll explore how to live with awareness in the middle of daily life, through micro moments, through the body, and through the natural softening of the inner space. Awareness doesn't become stable through long, intense effort. It grows through small, gentle moments of noticing. 2 or 3 seconds at a time is more than enough. Each micro moment is like a tiny spark that lights the next one. Over days and weeks, these sparks connect and become a steady flame. You don't need to stay aware continuously. You only need to return softly, briefly, again and again. When attention becomes tight, the body is the easiest doorway back. Feel the weight of your feet, the warmth in your hands, the rising and falling of your breath. These simple sensations soften the mind's contraction and open the inner space from particle back to wave. Awareness doesn't require understanding, only contact. Every time you return to the body, you return to presence without any effort. Awareness deepens when the inner tension dissolves. Soften your gaze, soften the breath, soften the need to control the moment. When you release the effort to stay aware, awareness naturally expands like water filling an open bowl. Presence is not a position you hold. It is a softening into what is already here. The gentler you become, the more awareness reveals itself without being forced. When the mind starts telling a story, you don't need to interrupt it. Just notice that it has begun. The moment you see the story forming, its momentum weakens. Sometimes it stops within seconds. Sometimes it continues for a while. Both are fine. Awareness doesn't argue with the mind. It outshines it. Stories collapse naturally when met with quiet seeing, not control. Integration becomes effortless when you realize there is no separate you trying to be aware. Awareness notices. Awareness returns. Awareness stabilizes. The sense of being a doer is just another thought appearing inside awareness. When this softens, practice becomes natural. Awareness takes care of itself, moment by moment, without pressure, without effort, without someone managing it. Now you can see, awareness doesn't need to be held, protected, or maintained. It only needs space to reveal itself again and again. With gentle recognition, the mind's habits soften, and awareness becomes the quiet background of your daily life. In the final section, we'll close this journey by remembering one simple truth. Awareness never leaves you. You only stop noticing it for a moment. If your awareness comes and goes, you are not failing. You are simply walking the same path every awakened being has walked. No one stabilizes awareness instantly. It flickers, It returns, it disappears, it comes back again. This is not a mistake. It is maturation. Every moment you notice you have been lost in thought is not a setback. It is awareness returning by itself. You don't need to fight the mind or hold awareness with effort. Awareness is not fragile. It cannot be lost. The instant you realize you were caught in a story, presence has already reappeared. The noticing is awareness. The return happens naturally. You do not bring it back. You only stop covering it. Like clouds parting to reveal the sky that never moved. Awareness doesn't require discipline, control, or perfection. It asks for only one thing: your willingness to see what is happening right now. Every thought you notice, every emotion you feel, every moment you pause, all of it strengthens awareness without effort. You don't have to protect awareness. You only relax the habits that hide it. Awareness is the ground. Mind is the movement. Both can be here, but awareness is always deeper. As you leave this video, remember this truth gently. Your true nature has never left you, not even for a second. Sometimes you notice it, sometimes you don't, but it remains. Quiet, steady, luminous. Walk softly with yourself. Let awareness open in its own rhythm. And if you want to continue this awakening journey with tenderness and clarity, subscribe and come back each week. We'll keep walking into the light together.